about why, and if you know me at all, you know how much I love Disney. You know how much our yearly trip to Disney is super important to me. I look forward to it all year long. It is my favorite week of the entire year. And so I used to say I was a diehard Disney fan, but I guess that I probably shouldn't say that anymore, because there are people who would go and who are going and who have gone already in the situation that I have chosen to not go to Disney in, if that makes sense. I love Disney. It is a huge part of me, and I've been there every year since I was 9 years old. And obviously, as with any company, I don't agree with everything they do. I never have. But over the last year and a half, I feel like they have just really, I don't know, they've just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, but I still was ignoring that. I was still focusing on the fact of what I get from them versus what I think about their corporate policies. I was really trying to separate those two things. Because really in today's environment, that's all you can do, because you can't boycott everybody that disagrees with you, because that's just not possible. It's not realistic. So I was trying to take all the stuff that I did not like about them and put it over there and try not to think about it. And that's why we still had the trip plan. That's why I was still really excited. But I just feel like, first of all, they still don't have a lot of the same, they still don't have the full experience that you normally get at Disney. They still haven't brought back some of the things that I loved about going to the Disney parks. And I was willing to accept that, because I realized it may be a while until they bring those things back. And they were having other things that were really exciting. You know, the 50th anniversary starts October 1st, and they were going to be having some fun things that we would have been able to take advantage of. So I felt like it was kind of, I was satisfied with that aspect, even though I knew I was paying definitely full price for not the usual full experience. I felt like we were getting other things in return. But it just seemed like every time I turned around, first of all, the mask policy, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I realized some people are going to say, well, that's necessary in today's environment. Well, maybe it is, maybe it's not. But given the fact that we have made a rule for ourselves that we're not going to go if they have masks in any capacity, the fact that they kept putting them back, taking them off, you got to wear them here, you don't have to wear them there, I was honestly tired of that. It was an emotional roller coaster that I had been planning this vacation since 2019. And I'm trying to plan this vacation when things are constantly changing. It's like trying to walk on sand and the ground just keeps shifting beneath you. It was very, very hard to try to plan a vacation with any type of certainty. And you do have to be pretty certain with Disney. You have to tell them what park you're going to be at which day. You have to have your dining reservations. You have to have all this stuff in line. You have to have all your ducks in a row and be very specific about that. But then everything else was just very in flux. And so I didn't like that. It was making me very unsettled. That is where my brain was already at. I was already kind of at my tipping point with getting annoyed with Disney and how they keep changing things and how they keep taking things away but not charging any less. Oh, no. They're going to keep charging you more and more and more and more. And I realize they've always been in the business of trying to make money. They are a business. I realize they're not trying to give stuff away for free. But I just feel like sometimes you feel like you're being bled dry by certain companies, and Disney is one of those companies lately, especially. They've always been extremely expensive. But I feel like, especially lately in the last year, they have just been asking for more and more and more and giving less and less and less. And it gets more and more expensive every single year. And not just park tickets, but, you know, having to pay to park at your hotel now. And there's no more fast passes. Oh, but wait, we're going to put fast passes back, but we're going to charge you for them. And I kind of knew that was coming because I knew Universal already did it. I knew they started it at Disneyland Paris, where they're going to start it. But I just thought, really, now you're going to start this Genie Plus thing where you're going to charge people for fast passes? I mean, we have all had a really tough year. They were they were closed for a long time too, and I realized that hurt their bottom line. But they're Disney. They are not hurting in any way, shape, or form. And I just feel like now is a really, really rude time to sock that to people, that if you want a fast pass, now you're going to have to pay for it. In the middle of a pandemic. In the middle of so much uncertainty about people's lives and their jobs and their health, and then you're gonna add that to everything else, it just really, really rubbed me the wrong way. And I honestly did not want to spend any more time figuring out Genie Plus and how it works and how we need to fit it into our vacation, because I've already been planning this vacation since 2019, and I've had to replan it like 4 or 5 times. Every time my trip got canceled because they weren't open or because they had a mask policy or whatever, I had to keep changing it every time. There was hours involved of switching everything over. And I got to the point where I'm like, I do not want to have to learn how anything else works And I'm not willing to pay for that right now. Now, I'm not saying I'm not ever gonna pay for it, because I realize if I ever wanna go back to Disney World, and I would like to go back, I'm gonna have to pay that, because I'm used to fast passes now. I'm pretty spoiled, you know, and I have gotten used to the fact that if you don't have fast passes, you're not gonna ride very many things at Disney, because the lines are just way too long. So I understand the value of fast passes. They're extremely helpful. But I just think, why do they have to charge for them? I realize Universal already did it. Be different than Universal. Don't go down that road. Don't expect people to do that. Don't ask people to do that. And they didn't for a very, very long time, and they did just fine. So why right now? Why do they have to do that, first of all? And why right now? Why kick people when they're down? It just made me really angry, honestly. And I thought, you know what? I'm not doing it. And even if I would have tried to figure out the Genie Plus thing, again, with the mask policy and our kind of rule for ourselves about not going with the mask policy, we were gonna have to go ahead and pay for the trip, not even knowing yet if they were still gonna have masks or what way they were gonna be used, you know, when we go to Disney, because you have to pay for your trip 30 days before your actual trip. In 30 days, we've all seen clearly a lot of things can change for the good or for the bad. And I just didn't want to do that anymore. I was tired of that game. And so I really don't know when we're going to go back, but I can tell you this: it will be when there are no masks in any capacity, inside, outside, on a ride, in the bathroom, in the parking lot, on the tram, in the monorail. No masks. When that happens, if that happens, we will then decide about the Genie Plus, and we will, you know, we have a trip planned for May 2022. And I hope that we get to go then. And I will really hope that I will be able to get over kind of my thoughts about them as a company and go down there and have a good time. Because I told my husband the other day, I said, I don't know that it's ever going to feel the same to go back to Disney. It's just not, because as much as I try to compartmentalize, like I said, what I get from them, from what I think about them as a company, it gets harder and harder to do that when this section over here, the what I think about them as a company, kind of gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It really starts to creep into the section over here about what I get from them. So it really just depends on how I feel at the time. And I hope that changes. I hope that I am able to do that, and I hope that we're able to go again in the future. But for now, this is what we're doing. That's my thoughts on how they're handling everything. And I know some people agree with me 100% because you guys have told me that. I know some people don't care and they think they will go no matter what. And if that's what you choose to do, then that is definitely your prerogative. But you know, as people and as families, we have to make decisions about what we will and won't do, and what we're not willing to do and put ourselves through. And we're at that point with Disney, at least for now. That is how we feel about it.